Hey, extraordinary treasurers! In this video, we're asking the question, what kind of treasurer does your church need you to be? Your church needs something a little different than your board and your donors. Your church needs you to be aware, to be the watchman, to be the steward of the church's money and property. But you need to be the steward without taking on ownership. We have seen treasurers who had crossed that line, and they were not the steward. They owned everything. And that makes it really difficult. You need to have a gracious spirit while not being a pushover. To watch out for the best interests of the church's financial picture. To ask questions, not just pay the bills. There was a church once where the water bill had tripled and quadrupled, and it had been that way for several months. And I asked the treasurer, "What's going on?" She said, "I don't know, I just pay the bill." Well, we started looking and come to find out there was a break in the water line behind the church, and water was going down the hill, gallons and gallons a day, and we were paying for it. So if you see something like that happening, don't just pay the bill, ask questions. The church needs you to have an organized and timely reimbursement process. Now, I wouldn't have thought of this one, but there was a church where the treasurer would only reimburse checks, and I'm exaggerating a bit, but it was like the second day of every month between 3 and 3:15. It was very limited, and if you didn't get your request in at that moment, you didn't get a reimbursement. The church needs you to be there for reimbursements because there are members who can't afford to hold on to those receipts for a long time. They need you to write reimbursement checks in a timely manner once you get the form and the receipts in hand. Something else the church needs from you, number 2, is to be protective of the church's financial records. You're going to be using a treasury-dedicated computer, and it's important that you don't loan it to your kids or use it for your personal finances or watching movies on Saturday night. Be aware of safety and security issues. Protect passwords, confidential records. Back up to the dual server every month to protect against catastrophic data loss. Ensure that the church's historical records are locked in a safe, appropriate place. I can't tell you how many I've seen shoved under the baptistry in boxes or in a shed outside. And that's just not acceptable for records that are supposed to be kept long term. I could also tell you stories of church records from years past lost to floods and fires and stroke or sudden death on the part of the treasurer. And they're gone forever. There's no way to get them back. So your church, past and future, needs you to safeguard their records. We're going to be talking with all of these areas in an upcoming video. Last but not least, what kind of treasurer does Georgia-Cumberland Conference need you to be? Let's find that out next.